Welcome back to the podcast, the fabulous Sarah Howard.
Oh, thank you so much for having me back again, Emma. Twice in 1 year. How lucky am I?
Well, I know it's only been a few months. We had such a great chat, and I just loved. I ended up using your story of how you reached out to me as an email. So thank you for the content because I was like, you were like, oh, do you mind if we talk about pleasure? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But of course, we also spoke about your book. Our episode was called Beyond Solo, which is a brilliant book, helping people to. I think the title says it, but essentially helping. Maybe you can give a better abridged version of what solo means.
Well, I think we can probably say that the title of this episode will be called Back to Solo. So I'll drop that truth bomb first. But yeah, the book Beyond Solo is the guide that I wish I'd had when I started my business 18 years ago, and I wasn't sure which way to grow. I thought you had to take on staff, and that's the path I took. But when I interviewed dozens of other business founders who basically in that services space who trade time for money, I realized that there were lots of different options, including collectives and productizing and hybrid models. And there's a lot of outsourcing we can do now, including, it turns out, outsourcing to AI, of course, as well. And so it was really interesting for me to piece together what the foundation of good growth is with that lens of there's lots of different ways to do it. And now I'm in a different mode of operating my business, which is a whole other change in itself.
Well, I love that. I was going to call the episode Life After Exit, but it might be back to solo. We'd be on solo, back to solo. But um, yeah, we'll get to that. I think it's really interesting because, you've kind of, I don't know, it's almost, did you like, I loved what you said there. You said beyond, how to grow, like, or which way to grow. And I was like, I thought you say which way to go, but it's like which way to.
Mm,
So it's about growth, but then, sometimes it's like recognizing that maybe you don't want that, the growth and what the
yeah,
size at the time of life fits you. But do you think
yeah.
that you maybe wrote yourself into this situation where, let's announce it to everyone that you've exited your business?
Yeah, so yeah, as of this month, as of the, in 2 weeks' time at the end of October, the writers' business will sadly come to an end. Although it's kind of it's not the end. And I will say that my whole goal, and one of the reasons I wrote the book and insisted on writing a chapter on exit strategies, was I was working through a succession plan with someone in my team, and that was all going very, very well until it wasn't. And that happens. And that happens for very good reasons. And I have the grace to accept that. And my plan B was always to just shut it down. And I don't see any shame in that at all because I've run a business for 18 years. I've employed dozens of people. As a team, we've done amazing work. We've written tens of thousands of things for clients all over the world. And at a certain point, it's okay to say, okay, that part of my life and that business model no longer serves me as a person, as the founder, and it no longer serves my life. I'm ready to do new things. And if there's no one else to take it on, then what else are you going to do? And fortunately, because I'd been intentional about planning that succession strategy, I will say there was money in the business to fund that. And so that money now, my co-director and I can share between us once we finally unravel all the last bits that you have to unravel when you unwind a business. And it's a little bit painful, but it's not as hard as it sounds. And ultimately for me, it means freedom. It means the freedom to say, okay, I did a great job with that. Now what? And I've got so many now what ideas in my head that the challenge will actually be working out what to do next.
Which way to go, not which way to grow.
Yes,
Um,
that's
I
right.
really love that. And I think sometimes there's so much more power. There's so much more challenge, but there's also so much more power in saying no and choosing
Mm,
to do. And there's this, I've got a boundaries coach. It's like say yes to your needs so you can say no to their needs so you can say yes to yours. And it's like
mm,
everything you say yes to, it means you're saying no to something like potentially that you really want to do, all these other little yeses along the way. And so you saying yes to the business is saying no to all of these other opportunities that are clearly starting to bubble up. And as you said,
mm.
I mean, the statistics for business um, duration or longevity are terrible. You have
Right.
exceeded that. Like there's
Absolutely. I think most businesses last at the most 3 years, right? Which is hardly any time at all. I mean, God, I've had jobs that have lasted longer for that, and they've been a lot easier to quit. So yes, the fact that I've run a business profitably and that's kept growing for 18 years. I am absolutely proud of that. And I'm absolutely proud of the fact that I knew I was listening to the signals. And I think that's kind of the key learning I've got from this entire experience. I think whenever you've had a setback, you've got to think about, okay, what do I take from this so I, learn from it and grow in some way. And for me, I probably didn't see some of the signals until it was too late. And by that, I mean both internal and external signals. So, internal signals for me, I probably use writing the book as a bit of therapy because as I was writing it and researching it and talking to other people who've been through similar situations, so I actually recognized in myself, actually, I'm dealing with the signs of burnout. I've lost the joy. And that's the biggest risk to a small business. If the founder is struggling to keep their mojo going, that's a problem. That's a signal. That's a signal. And there are ways to reignite that. Absolutely. You're in control of your business. You can steer it the way you want it to go to get that spark back. But that was a signal that I suddenly recognized and only through writing the book. And then externally, obviously, this year, 2025, has been particularly challenging for those of us who earn a living as writers. I'm going to put it out there. AI has just gone leaps and bounds in terms of what it can do. I certainly rely on it myself now. The strategic, input for proofreading, not for the actual writing itself, but everything in between. Honestly, I can't imagine doing my work without it. And we know our clients are using it too. They've got access to these tools, and the tools have access to all the knowledge that's inside their business that they cannot ever get out of their heads and give to us as external writers. These tools are empowered to do a really good job internally. And I don't see that changing.
Mm,
So if you're a freelance writer listening to this going, oh, this is the canary in the coal mine, don't panic. Our skills are still really, really needed. But what I realized is the agency model where I had to keep, 7 writers busy consistently, that wasn't sustainable in this
100%.
environment. Not
100%.
not this year. Maybe the pendulum will swing back a little bit back and forth, and there will be different kind of models. Collective models, I think, have a really great role in this environment, but that traditional agency model is going to be difficult to
Yeah.
keep the consistent workflow going. And so that was the writing on the wall. That was an external signal that I really had to pay attention to. And look, there are other things going on out there in the world, economic volatility, marketing budgets are frozen. There's a lot of movement in those teams, not a lot of movement in projects. And so that was challenging as well. So it is a tricky time to run this kind of business right now. And that's why, I think when I took all those signals together, and obviously then my co-director didn't feel ready to take the business on, given that environment and other factors, why wouldn't we just take the route to say, okay, we've got a good business. If we close it now, everyone gets what they need out of it, including our clients. So
Yeah.
it's sort of a conscious closure, I'm calling it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, also, I think you can't gaslight yourself, or you can't keep gaslighting yourselves and going, oh, you've just got to do this, or you've just got to be more
It'll
creative.
be all right.
Because it's reality. And when you're okay with that, like even back in COVID, I paused and went, I don't feel comfortable marketing to people and promoting to people right now when they're in.
Mm,
But even those few weeks, and was listening to the Content Bite, and there was an episode that talked about, we are in this position where we have this skill of communications and people need
mm,
communication help right now. And I
mm.
flipped it and I used a different skill set, but it was taking a step back and going, no, I'm not going to do that. That helped to redirect. But also, I think I really do admire the decision that was best for you, that was best for everyone. And
Mm.
very small way, very different. But I had a pet sitting business that I chose to close. And I'm sure you're getting this now where everybody goes, but it's a great business, but it's such a great
Yeah,
business, but you were doing so well, but people need it. And could you do this and could you do that? But you're at peace with the decision. And you're like, I know it was a great business. It was profitable, but I don't
yeah.
want to do it anymore. And that's
Yes, exactly. And that's okay. That's okay. If you were a salaried employee, you'd be allowed to quit your job. And
yes.
I think you should be allowed to quit your business too. It's just slightly more paperwork. And obviously, I say that flippantly, at its heart, that the biggest and hardest part of this decision is I had a team, right? I had 6 people on payroll who were paying rent or paying mortgage every month. And I took that responsibility very seriously right from the first time I hired someone. So that was the biggest factor in the decision. But ultimately, to run a business into the ground isn't going to serve them well either. And so to call it when we were still able to pay everyone what they're entitled to, make sure, that we could be as generous as possible, set them up in some cases, they're now freelancing again and they're taking some of the clients with them, which is great. As far as I'm concerned, that's the legacy, right? That good work continues. Everything we learn together continues. The clients get some stability and consistency. For me, that's a great outcome. I have no problem with that at all.
Well, and that was something I was going to say, which I think I even reached out, like I haven't been open to this for a long time, but I reached
Mm.
out to an old client for contracting work. And one of the things was that they had an in-house copywriter. So there's the AI tools, but I think there might be, and if it's not an in-house, then potentially it's a dedicated copywriter. We might see more of that. So they have their dedicated person that they kind of work with. And there are so many companies out there that if you're a solo, you can go and be their one person.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and a few of those would be very, very nice.
And yeah, I think that would be a great way to learn from the inside out again and, be a fractional, whatever you want to call it, inside a company, have access to the tools and the knowledge, learn. I think that's actually a great opportunity for freelancers who are willing to do that right now. And I do think companies, because they're also very concerned about security and things like that as well, that's probably a better model for them in the short term too,
Yeah.
where resources are available. So yeah, I definitely think that's an option.
Yeah, and there's still that communication skill set, that editing skill
Mhm.
set, that content understanding,
Yeah,
that's where knowing the tools, knowing how to use the tools, that and then having that insider dedicated knowledge, that would be a really powerful combination. So I
amazing.
think
Yeah.
there's so much opportunity. But one of the things that I know that you wrote to me that was really exciting, which I'm obviously totally on board with, was see the future, or certainly the next couple of years, that because of all this technology, human connection and time together is going to be even more valued.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's another signal, right? You
Yeah.
can start to see it. I think I read an article in Condé Nast that was talking about retreats as the new girls' weekend. I was like, ooh, I like girls' weekends. I'm actually really good at organizing those. Retreats, where we all come together, different people, different walks of life. And learn a skill or share something or grow in some way. Obviously, Emma, that is absolutely what you are cornering the market in. So I do think there's some exciting things that could happen there. And one of my clients, in a corporate client sense, she's setting up a little side business and she asked me to collaborate with her on a writer's retreat next March. So that's my actual first little passion project, which is so fun and total pleasure as far as I'm concerned, because I get to go to the Southern Highlands and write and, chat to people about writing. How perfect is that? So it'll be a really lovely thing to start that next phase for me. I'm going to take 4 months off and just not do very much at all. I will be writing though, because I've got lots of ideas of things I need to get out while they're still in my head. But yeah,
Writing and writing for
but for me,
things flow and
yeah.
to a deadline, that that, as I totally understand, because well, a when you run a business you can end up not getting to do what you love, like the part that you love,
Mm,
the writing, so you end up being in
mm,
management and strategy
mm.
instead of writing. But also when you're writing for others all the time, like, and that what's
Yes,
out of the book, like getting to write
yes,
for you and write
that's
what
right.
and write from your from your heart,
Yeah.
your ideas, your thoughts. And when you get to be in that place, gosh, it is that sort of nirvana feeling, that
Freedom. Yeah.
it's, yeah, freedom, and not having the time limit of it, or oh, this have to meet this person's guidelines
Mm,
they want, or whatever. It's like, no, I'm writing to them, or I'm writing to this person, or I'm writing for you, maybe even, like, I know for me, it was writing to my past self or my future self.
mm,
It is very funny because your book, two people I know who wrote a book. So my book was the start of a whole new business slash direction slash basically a repositioning, as well as
yep.
an acknowledgement of my journey. I feel like yours was an acknowledgement of your journey, as was my friend's book. And they basically like not retired, but like stopped after. I'm like, oh, like it's
I know.
it's a really pivotal thing, writing a book. I think there's
Yeah.
a lot of endings with a book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a way of documenting everything that you've learned and then drawing a line out under the end. Okay. And now what do I do with that? And so that's kind of what's exciting about what's next. And for me, I'm in a transition phase in many different ways because I'm closing a business, but my kids are also both in their 20s now. They're both at uni. They're relatively independent and mature, although I question that some days. But no, you're great, guys. So that gives me time as well. I'm not in the midst of the logistics of the school run and all of those decisions. And so I read this beautiful piece. Gretchen Rubin in the US wrote about reversing the empty nest idea and calling it the open door. And I am so owning that. Right now, my transition moment, this year is an open door. So I've closed the door on riders, actually that door right there. But that's opening the door to all these new things, some of which have come from the book, some of which I've been wanting to do and sitting on for years because I just haven't had the time, or capacity to take them on. And so that's really exciting. And so open door is for me, that's freedom, but also for the kids, right? The door is always open. They come and go. And so I think that's a really nice way to think about this midpoint in life where the kids are growing up, coming and going, you're coming and going, and there's a lot of freedom in that.
I love it. And you were already doing so great with your own leisure life, and now you get to do it, but in a completely different way and sort of bringing back, like, how does it feel that potentially you'll be going back to those roots of the solo
Yeah.
and, maybe picking, like, I don't know, like just doing whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's different this time, right? Because in 18 years, I've grown an incredible network around the business. And I saw that when I posted on LinkedIn to let everyone know that we were closing down and the outpouring of messages and also private messages and
I was like,
emails and
what?
calls. Yeah. But also but even the process of closing the business, I had to call 100 clients, personally call them just because to deal with our work in progress, right? That it was a phenomenal number of people that touch different parts of the business. And I want those people to still be part of whatever I do next professionally. In a lot of ways, they want to, they've said they want to be part of it. So I think that there is this sense of the ecosystem. So I don't think you're really ever solo in any business, are
No.
you? I mean, you've got customers for a start, otherwise you don't have a business. And you do have other people you need to depend on for advice or counseling, or, admin support or whatever. So all of that stuff will still happen. The difference is, as a solopreneur, you've got a lot more freedom over your time and how you manage what you say yes to because you're not having to keep the rest of the business humming along in the background. And so that's what I'm ready for. I have no regrets about running a business with cash flow and people and learning how to manage a team and all of those things and growing it to the scale it was. But now I'm ready to just contain it to what feels right for me and being really intentional. And if that means only doing 4 or 5 projects a year, that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And I'm at a time of my life where I can do that because, I've got through all the other responsibilities of children and school
Built
fees and all those
that.
things. Yeah.
Testament to what you've built, obviously, in your own probably personal wealth and grounding and foundation, but also in that you built wealth into the business and you're able to walk away with something like that is choice and freedom as well. And that choice
Yeah.
to do projects because you're interested in them, not just earlier in your career. I don't speak for myself.
Yeah.
Out of
Yes.
need, and it's out of who's paying the bill, like who's paying you, you're paying money, you're my client.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And the fear that this will be the last thing you'll ever get offered in your whole life again
yeah,
because tomorrow the tap could turn off. You never know. You never know. Whereas, yes, I can be a little bit more conscious about it. I mean, but the thing is, right, I still want to do the work because I love it. I love it. I love the purpose that it brings me. I love helping people solve their problems. I love talking to people like you. So I definitely still want to be involved in lots of different ways, and I can see lots of different opportunities to do that, and also write more. So as you said, writing for myself, how deliciously exciting is that? And as part of this transition period, I actually started working through the Artist's Way about 6 weeks ago. Have you heard of that?
I have the workbook on my shelf. I do journaling morning pages. I do at least one page. Sometimes I do the three, but I've got the
Yeah.
workbook. But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know the artist way,
I'm
but maybe you could tell the audience what they
Yeah, look, I do really recommend this to anyone listening who just feels a bit stuck. And you don't, when it's called the artist way, it doesn't mean you have to be an artist. It's just anything creative, that creative piece of your life that you feel is missing. So, you might be working in a corporate field. You can still do this book and you will learn so much from it about yourself. And so there's two non-negotiables. And I'd never done it before, but I'd had the book sitting on my shelf for 4 years. Yeah. And someone said, you really should do that. Like, this is a good moment in time for you to do the morning pages as a reflection. And, journaling is very good for you mentally. So I was like, okay, that's a good idea. So I am religious now, 3 pages every morning before I make my coffee. And I love it. My husband knows he's not allowed to talk to me. I say, it's like a meditation. Don't say anything. And then the other thing that's non-negotiable is the artist date and coming up with an idea of something fun and creative and silly that you can do on your own. That's been interesting for me because I haven't let my little playful child out much lately. I've been very serious, big boss lady. So I think it's been really good for me in this moment to channel into that inner child and let them play.
well,
So it's been a great experience.
one of my cards for the year, I pulled I've oracle cards and affirmation cards, and one of them was maintain your childlike spirit, and it's come up
Yes,
so many times this year, and we may well get interrupted right now by my beautiful 4-year-old.
playful spirit. Yeah.
It's such a reminder, like how he'll just and I'm like, oh my God, be childlike, be playful, be fun, and
Mm,
get so caught up in things and even like treat a fun activity. And one of the things that I'd like to do is and we do have a blessing coming up that I said I wanted to be very intentional about it because you will have all this time, and if you don't actually plan something,
mm.
you don't give yourself that artist day. So that's where you take a day out to do something fun.
It can even be an hour. Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be a
yeah.
long
Be
time.
a coffee
Yeah.
morning, but going to like, I looked on the city coast, the city website. So we're trying to
Mm,
got my son for 3 months. We're going to be he's not had childcare, so we've got 3 months of doing that around work. And it's like, well, let's go to the museum. Like I've never been to
mm.
Queensland. I've walked past or through the Queensland Library. Apparently, it's
That's
incredible.
beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful library.
That we've got the Hotter Art Gallery, they're always doing exhibitions, but I went on the city. I never go on the What's On website because we've always got so much on. I don't really
Mm,
know
mm, mm.
the library and said, I knew there were things, but we've had childcare or work, so we haven't been able to. And
Mm.
there's a Lego morning on a Saturday. He loves Lego.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. But you
Like,
can get down and build some Lego too. That's the creative part, right? It's actually very satisfying. That there's probably a Swedish word for the sound that Lego bricks make when they click together. Very satisfying. So yeah, that's
there's
a great idea.
it's like, oh, we'll wait for this. And I even had a thing the other day. There's the beautiful Crystal Castle near here, which is like a
Mm,
most beautiful natural setting. And it's, even if you're not woo-woo, it is just a beautiful place.
mm,
And I've been wanting to go, and I've lived here for 9 years, and I haven't, it's an hour away, an hour and a half. But I just went and I kept going, I'll do it with someone else. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd go, oh, when this person's here, or when that friend goes,
mm.
or I'll call this person. And I have a person to hang out with, and that is my son. Or my
Yeah,
and
yeah.
okay to take myself out and do something that I want to do. It's okay to take just my family or my son and go and do that thing just because. And
Mm,
it's such a nice, maintain your childlike spirit. And if something tickles your interest and finding that joy again, like something that you love,
mm,
one of my walls,
mm.
horse riding. I started taking up horse riding. Like it's just something that you want to do.
Yeah,
And you just
yeah.
like say to yourself, like, I'm an adult. Like I can just choose to do it. You just go.
That's right. And there doesn't have to be any end goal in it. And sometimes doing it on your own is the best part because your subconscious just goes free. And often I find the best ideas come, or you kind of in the background you work through something that's you're holding on to, or you're able to let it go in some way. So yeah, being on your own on an art estate and just letting yourself play is a delight. And making time for that is obviously the challenge, but it can be a really quick thing. I mean, I think in the book, Julia Cameron, the author, says, one of her favorite things to do as an artist day, if she doesn't have a lot of time, is to go into a pet store and hold a bunny rabbit. It can be just that simple. And so, or, go into a $2 store and buy a box of crayons and just, I don't know, go crazy with them. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you'll love my joy. We have a mutual colleague, Susan Rioch, who's a
Mm,
copywriter. She sent me a client gift because we did a brand exercise together, and she said she wanted to send me a gift, and she'd asked me what if there was any shop that would represent me, what would it be? And I said Smiggle, and she sent me this
Oh, yes, that's perfect for you. It's sparkly.
a pink glitter notebook with an E on it. And I was going to buy myself a Mont Blanc pen when I finished writing my book. And then I put
Yeah,
it on the table and I went, no, that's what I'm going to sign my books with. Like,
perfect.
that's what
Perfect.
the listeners, I've got a sparkly pen with a sparkle bauble. And then I went and bought myself a Barbie pen. And it was like, I like going in there. And it's like, I don't
Yeah,
go to office work. So I go get my stationery at Smiggle. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah, find a store that you love. A visit to Smiggle, a visit to Lush. I'm also now going a bit more upscale, going to Camilla. If I buy, I can go in there and just enjoy the beauty.
yeah, yeah.
A beautiful shopping center. Like so often we go to the shops and you're just racing around because you go into the shop, but it's like a day when you're at leisure and you
Mm,
can just walk
mm,
around and actually admire things and enjoy things.
mm.
I don't, whatever maybe it's nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
Use your joy. I was going to say the other book that I would highly recommend, if you haven't read it, but
Mm.
for our listeners as well, is Big Magic. And
Oh,
it's,
yes, Elizabeth Gilbert.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm making an annual read. I got to meet her this year, which was like, oh, I gave her my book, but I've got the physical book, which is awesome. She signed it. Come on in, Finn. And then I do the audiobook though, so I can consume it
Yeah.
fast. Even her podcast series. So Big Magic is about basically it's creative living. So anyone can
Mm,
be creative. And like you said, the artist's way could be deceptive, or yeah, people could just rule themselves out because they're not a writer or not creative. But with
mm,
access to creativity.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So next year is going to be our creative life. Bring it on.
Now tell me what does the next 4 months kind of like you've got a few things booked in. So what are those
Yes, very pleasure, very pleasure. Less blur and more leisure. So we are working on a beautiful garden project at our house up the coast. So that is, we'll be back and forth doing that in November, and that's beautiful, like gardening, planting, and a little writer's studio at the back of the garden for me. So that's exciting. And then December, this is the big one. So. My adult sons, my husband and I are embarking on an epic trek around Patagonia. Come on in, Finn. Hi, Finn. So we're doing a 10-day hike through southern Patagonia and we're spending Christmas Eve in Santiago and it's going to be an amazing experience as a family. Yeah, so that's exciting. And then summer of chill and then, starting to think about all the new and exciting creative things that will be coming my way in 2026 with a lot more travel. My youngest son is going to Edinburgh for a semester abroad, so that gives me an excuse to go to Europe next summer. So that's also on the horizon. Yeah.
I love it. So my son has just come in, so I'm just gonna give him a kiss and send him on his
Oh,
way.
hi, Finn.
So yeah, very different. We're at very different life stages. Thank you.
One day he'll be embarking on university abroad and you'll be like, yes,
Well, that's what
choose Bologna, you'll say.
I love to say this. I did 6 months exchange, so I'm fully in support of him doing it. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh, one day he won't want to travel with you, or one day he'll be off doing his own thing. And I'm like, yep. And I'll be like, cool, babe, I'll meet you in Santiago.
Yeah,
Cool, babe. Meet you
absolutely.
in Rome for a few days. Like, I don't know. And as well, when if mummy's gonna pay to join in, like I think he'll be
They
fine.
will come. They will
Dad's
come.
38.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm 38. My dad is not 38. I still travel with my dad. Like
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've traveled with my dad this year and he's 82. So mind you, I paid my way that time, but that's okay. Yeah.
it's
But I
not
still love it. I still love it.
I took Dad and Finn away up to Noosa for Dad's 70th, and Mum said she wants to go to Tangalooma. Like, so how nice when then you can flip it, and you're
Mm,
as an adult taking them away.
that's
But
exactly right.
I think that doesn't have to end, and what a thing to look forward to. I'm going to be watching Patagonia very closely. I'm actually after today, I have another interview for my retreat business. A woman
Ah,
who lives in Mexico, so I'm doing a recce next year. So I will report back. She works at
yes.
fabulous wellness resort. But she has run retreats in Argentina and Patagonia.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
I will
Okay,
be,
I'll let you know. There's a couple of lodges we're staying in before and after the trek that would probably make good locations for that. So I'll let you know.
yeah.
The trek itself has no Wi-Fi or electricity for 10 days. So I will not be reporting in from that. And I'm not sure that's probably where you would go, but it'll be a good challenge for me. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, I actually love that. I love cruises. I love trekking for that reason. You go, oh, no Wi-Fi. Oh dear,
that's right.
I'll be in touch.
That's right. Can't charge my Apple Watch. Oh, well, no one will know. Yeah.
Sarah, I'm so excited for you, and I feel like we're going to end up having more conversations.
Yeah.
I love that your book ended up being like a guide for you. That it's sort of, I just think, yeah, it really, books are such a powerful thing. Like it does
Mm,
mark a time in your life, and
mm.
that it can, it did open a new door, but probably
Yes.
a door that you might have expected.
Yeah. I think so. And that's okay. I think it's okay to have plans and then go, okay, that didn't quite work out, but I'm already on this path and I like it. So I'm going to keep going over here. And I think everyone who's read the book has also said to me, I feel like you've given me permission to choose the option I want. There's more options than what everyone told me I should do. And that's exactly why I wrote it. And those are the options I'm giving myself as well. So yeah, permission granted.
There's so many opportunities. You already know that I've got one very much in mind, but out of that, you have so much experience and so much knowledge that you've put into this book. But there are probably people like opportunity in that, whether this is me with my ideas hat on, you've probably got them all, but who need guidance or consulting on
Mm,
what they're
mm,
doing with their business. How do I grow? How do I exit? How do I
mm.
go beyond solo to start?
Yes. Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's so much wisdom that goes beyond the book as well that I think
Mm.
is you now have the time to figure out how that
Yeah.
gets started as well.
A- Absolutely. And if anyone's listening and they do really want to talk to me about that experience, I am always happy to have a DM exchange or whatever. So, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Emma, you'll have something in the show notes
I'll
with
have
that one.
everything in the show notes, but where,
Yeah.
like, I mean, and I was thinking as you were speaking before, like how brilliant that, sometimes people think it's a lot of work when you're creating a book, to create a website and to create
Mm,
those landing pages and to have that. And you did create a whole space for Beyond
mm.
how
Yes.
because now it does have its own place to live that it can grow of its own accord. So it's beyond solo dot.
.co. Yeah, so that would be a great place to go if you're interested and sign up for my every 2 weeks newsletter, which I now have more time to write and I'll be reflecting a lot more on
I'm
all
gonna
the
sign
things
up.
I've learned this
I
year. Are you signed up, Emma?
no, no.
Sign up. There's some special offers coming your way as well. No, no, I'm just joking. It's not a sales pitch one. It's really about sharing tools and resources. So there's a whole bunch of free resources on there. And yeah, I'd love to have you in the community if you want to join up, the Good Growth VIP community. Yeah, there's a couple of hundred people now, that's part of that. And it's been a really nice thing to build that alongside the business, alongside the book, which no one tells you that you're actually building a whole other business when you write a book and an e-commerce platform
E-commerce
and
business.
a logistics system. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I know. But I've loved doing that. It's actually reminded me of what it's like in the early days of building a business. And I love that bit where you can just play and test and see
Like
what
it's
works. Yeah.
really, and for years, especially as writers, right? I know that it should be easy to grasp, but people do not understand what a copywriter is. To be able to go, I wrote a book. That's what I
Yeah.
do. I'm an author.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
US Customs, they were like, "What's your job?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm an author." And they're like, "That's cool."
It
And
is cool.
his job is, and he's like, "Oh, I dive with sharks." They're like, "That's cool." I was like, "Yeah, we're pretty cool." But,
Cool couple.
people can understand what an author is, and I think my parents are probably very grateful now as well that they're just like, "She's an author and a
Mm.
speaker, and that's what she."
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes, I love it all. We're going to put it all in the show notes. There was something else I wanted. Oh, I'm going to publicly declare it. I will get you on, Sarah, to do in 2026. 6. Ew. I do master classes as part of the Pleasure Life plan. And so it'd be
Yes.
really awesome. We could do a Beyond Solo masterclass.
Yes, let's do it. I've actually got something almost ready to go. Let's chat about that. Oh, that's exciting, everyone. Come and join us for the masterclass.
Special guest masterclass. Well, I bloody
Yes.
need it. I'm going to be sitting there going, uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll obviously I'll be sharing what not to do based on everything I've learned in the last year. No, honestly, I think the best thing that I got out of writing the book was talking to all the other smart people who had done really clever things. So that's the bit of wisdom that I'll be sharing with you. But I've got a whole framework we can work through. Yeah, that'd be fun. Let's do that.
I love it. And even though I've been in business a long time, it's 16 years this year, I feel like I'm almost at the start again. I mean, I started a new business essentially in January. So it's funny, like I am in that growth, but
Hmm.
and like it does feel like I've almost started two new businesses and I'm in a new era. But for 10 years I was solo. So it is
Yes.
a very different situation, looks different. I know that figuring out which model I fit into. Um, and so yeah, I do need that support. I genuinely do. So
All
um,
right.
it's
Let's
so
make a let's make an event out of it. That sounds
I
great.
love it, Sarah. I've loved connecting with you more through our book journeys. I'm so excited to see what comes next and for you to fully embrace the pleasure side of
Hmm.
your life now. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing with us today.
Thank you. And thank you, Emma, for being such a solid cheerleader right from the first time we went, I'm writing books. Yeah, thank you so much. All right.